I just think this is the first time in both James Harden and Joel Embiid's careers that they have a guy who really complements their strengths to the max.
The only concern is maybe their bench depth, but for now, I mean, with those in playoffs, bench is shortening.
So moving on to the third team in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, at the trade deadline, they were the talk of the town because they traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. Aaron, how do you feel about this pairing between Harden and Embiid, but also about the overall team, pretenders or contenders?
I would say that they are contenders. We've still seen them play at a high level with in the few games that we've seen Embiid and Harden paired together. Only concern maybe is can they keep up their rate of going to the free throw line in the playoffs, because we do know refs swallow their whistles in the playoffs. And we've seen James Harden in the playoffs too with other teams. Just now, granted, last year with the Brooklyn maybe due to injury, but with Houston, kind of fell short in some moments because wasn't getting the same foul calls and not scoring at the same efficiency that he was. But nonetheless, I expect him to make noise. Tobias Harris still there, still a solid shooter. Matisse Thybulle, good defender too. And if one Harden or B gets foul trouble or something, I feel like the other can definitely take the load off for a game if necessary and dominate and just pose matchup problems. So I'm gonna definitely say they're contenders. Only concern is maybe their bench depth, but for now, I mean, with those in playoffs, bench is shortened anyway. So I definitely think that they'll be in the mix at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're contenders. I just think this is the first time in both James Harden and Joel Embiid's careers that they have a guy who really complements their strengths to the max. I think for James Harden, it's always been weird because he's played with a lot of guards. He did have that time with Dwight Howard that seemed like it could really work, but Dwight Howard was kind of on the decline at that point. And I don't think that Dwight was necessarily able to create his own shot like Embiid is. And so I think they can both create their own shot from so many places on the floor that in the playoffs, that's going to bode really well for them because they have two guys who can just go and get a bucket. And although, like you said, the depth could be an issue, if they can stay healthy and obviously have some good conditioning, we don't see, Jumbo make a return at any point, that I think they should be fine. And they could be a pretty deadly team because that duo is going to be really hard to stop from scoring. And especially if Embiid is scoring a lot, that frees up James Harden to focus a lot more on playmaking and creating shots for his teammates as opposed to having to score a ton. So the 76ers could absolutely be a really scary team out east.